Welcome, one and all, to the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast for our 2019 year in review. I am the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your king of extreme, Phil K.O.E., joined by my indomitable broadcast partner, the one, the only,
your former four-time champion, soon to be 5, always controversial, non-Kappa friendly, Tony fucking G. Like, share, subscribe. Here we are, once again, our 2019 year in review. Minor note, this is the review for 2019 between myself and Phil that we watched this year. So, while there may be some crazy Japan matches, MLW, Ring of Honor, NWA, so on and so forth, that we did not personally ingest as they happened. And I will just throw it out there right now. Honorable mention to Walter and Tyler Bate. I understand how amazing that match was. We actually have yet, believe it or not, to sit down and watch the match. We will. We know how good it is. That will not be included here tonight.
And there's a reason for that. Why all these MLW, Gorilla Pro, some NXT, a lot of stuff in Japan. Why are they not getting included in the match of the year? Well, you know the old saying, if a tree falls in the forest, no one's around to hear it?
Yes.
Did it really make a noise? If you took a big bump and you had a good match and no one was there to see it.
Did it happen?
That's kind of what we're talking about. This is the banner year stuff for professional wrestling. So we're covering the big stuff here, folks.
By banner year, let's just be frank. We're going to be very honest here. By banner year, we mean Raw, SmackDown, and mostly AEW, because they are the banner brands of 2019.
Undisputable.
And granted, NXT, you really did make a lot of noise towards the end of the year.
Yes, NXT. Yes, they really got my attention, and I'm going to be watching a lot more of their stuff in 2020. But all that being said, WWE's still the pinnacle. AEW threw some cash around, and they got themselves an audience. So
before we dive into all this, though, you have brought something special for the occasion.
Yes, since this is a year in review, and I am starting to begin my journey in the world of Scotch and varying brown spirits. My buddy Tony here, he's a little more well-versed. I picked up something interesting from a historical perspective.
I am excited.
This is a Cardew, a single malt Scotch whiskey aged for 12 years. Cardew has a generous spirit which flows from two pioneering women, Helen and Elizabeth Cumming, who co-founded and built up the distillery. 200 years ago, when rural communities were close-knit, Helen Cumming warned neighboring distillers of the approach of revenue officials by hoisting a flag. As Americans, we just love here. That's... Later, Elizabeth Cummings' entrepreneurial drive enabled her to build a new, much larger distillery. She was also known for her acts of kindness and for her hospitable home. When Elizabeth retired, she entrusted her cherished Cardew to John Walker and Sons of Johnny Walker fame. This, their first distillery, has become the spiritual home of Johnny Walker, while its own generous spirit echoes the character of the Cummings of Cardew. And so, what makes this so interesting is if you're going to drink Johnny Walker Red Label, Black Label, Gold Label, 18, Blue Label, Ghost and Blue, or Ghost and Rare Blue Label. If you drink any Johnny Walker of any kind, this is going to be blended in there. So this is and Tony is a big fan of single malt scotches.
Scotches in general, really.
Yes, You always seem to praise single malts, though, a little higher. Maybe it's because you appreciate the craftsmanship a bit better.
Well, as I've said before, I enjoy not having a overbearing, overwhelming peat flavor.
Yeah.
Something I've explained multiple times during our alcohol.
Now, this square bottle I really like.
Oh, it's a beautiful bottle.
I'm going to take off the labels, and I'm going to recycle it as just a general Scotch bottle because it's that nice of a bottle. I also, some research that I did, apparently Cardew, this particular, is really popular in Spain. If you go to a bar in Spain, you're going to see the square bottle, apparently.
Okay.
It's a big deal there. It's kind of like Crown Royal around here, Now,
flat out, Cardew, single malt Scotch whiskey, aged 12 years. You can't go wrong.
So, let's... we got a couple of drops of water in our glass here to kind of open it up. I've done some research, and I found that... Oh, nice cork. If you put a few drops of water, it's kind of like rainwater hitting dry ground. It'll bring up a lot more aromas, and it just makes it a bit more...
And I'll be frank, last night at a wedding reception, I had some Dewars that cost me $5 for a half a shot, and it was some of the worst shit I've ever had in my life.
So we're going to let that mellow in the glass for a little bit.
Yes.
We're going to take a preliminary nose, of course. See how it... there we go.
Right here.
There we go. Just perfect.
Ooh, I like how it hits the nose.
Yeah, even before you let it breathe, it's...
It does have a very intimidating smell on the first whiff. The second one... You get a lot more of the flavor, and the third one, you can definitely smell that you've got a nice Scotch.
Again, it's why I like the burgundy glass, because you can do that and really get a lot of air contact on the spirit very quickly.
I do have to roll this quite a bit myself, but you do enjoy your wine glass.
Well, for any spirit, really. It just, look at that. Look at that. You can just open it up and get so much air contact, so much liquid.
So while we let that breathe, what shall we delve into first for Pro Wrestling 2019?
Let's look at the categories. The categories are Male Wrestler of the Year, Female Wrestler of the Year, Tag Team of the Year, Male Match of the Year, Tag Match of the Year, Female Match of the Year, and... the shit of the year. What was the worst of the worst this year?
Have to have that.
So, well, yeah.
Unfortunately.
So let's start off with the guys. Male of the year.
Ooh. Going
the
right
nominees.
Out the gate.
The nominees are, and let us know in the comment section if you disagree, but it's really hard to dispute this. Seth Rollins. I know, man.
It is.
Then, the next nominee. I mean, well, we gotta talk about Seth here for a second. He did have a pretty banner year up until something that we might get to a little later. He did take out Brock twice in one year, which not a lot of guys can say that. But he had some great matches, but...
He could not get over the crowd.
Yes.
Literally, right before TLC, he finally took that heel turn, and it was his best promo in probably 2 years. I can't explain to you enough how happy I was to see him start to turn heel, and then finally curb stomp that heel turn into the ground, and it finally felt natural.
Well, I'm so sorry about that. There's been some problems since then. But he is on his way to a heel turn, which, thank the heavens above. The next nominee, while I like, a strong case has to be made for.
Okay.
The 2018 Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast Wrestler of the Year, the phenomenal AJ Styles. It's hard to deny. AJ, name a bad match he's had this year.
AJ has had, forgive me, phenomenal match after phenomenal match after phenomenal match. From Rumble to the week before TLC, because he didn't get a match on the main card. He has not had a bad match. His matches with Ricochet, his match just the other week with Rey Mysterio, his triple threat with Nakamura and, Roderick Strong, his Money in the Bank match with Seth Rollins. He has not had a bad match. He's incapable of having a bad match. Even though he has not had the banner year with a title, he did have a U.S. title, but he did not have a banner year with a world title. He still had, probably consistently, the best matches on a month-to-month basis of anybody.
Hard to disagree. I can't remember the last bad match I've seen with AJ Styles. The only bad matches that involve AJ Styles are when you don't like the finish.
There you have it.
That's really about it. And boy, not like that ever happens in WWE. So, the next candidate is Cody, the American Nightmare, Rhodes. This one is, to some, going to be a controversial pick, to some, going to be an obvious pick. Because there is no AEW without Cody.
There you have it.
If you enjoy the AEW product, he is into consideration.
When you look at AEW on a weekly television basis and on a pay-per-view scale, when you watch the reaction of the crowd, there is not a person that is more over on a serious level than Cody Rhodes. He comes out, he has a grand entrance, he milks it, he takes his time, he gets in the ring, he looks at the crowd, he enjoys the crowd enjoys him, and he owns the moment. And that's just something not everybody can do, especially this year. Hell, even this decade, if we're being honest. He's the most over person in AEW, hands down, regardless of his achievements on a title scale this year or last.
I mean, again, if you enjoy the AEW product, you really have to disregard his title picture, but his work in the ring is, he is in the contention for match of the year and tag match of the year. Okay, it's hard to top a guy with that level of work rate. So
that said, who else we got?
We got three more.
Okay.
This one gonna be controversial to some, not to others. Shake your behind, erase your mind. The Fiend. This one's tough. God, this is so tough. I can't think of anybody that I've been more emotionally invested in the entire year as The Fiend.
And, you look at, January to Mania, plus, hell, let's be honest. Bray Wyatt didn't really explode until SummerSlam. His vignettes started well before SummerSlam, but his in-ring return did not start until SummerSlam. But when it did, oh, wow. His re-debut, repackaging against Finn Balor at SummerSlam was one of the most incredible repackaging, re-debuts in the history of wrestling. And since then, he's not only maintained that white-hot heat, he's found new ways to go in different directions and reestablish the fact that he's one of the most over people in wrestling today.
Yes, I cannot stress enough how shocked I am this got over.
He
Tony
just got Twinkle Twinkle Little Star over at TLC.
Yes, when he came out at TLC and the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star thing was going, I thought, oh no, they're going to shit all over this. Nope. I thought, and for 10 seconds, I was legitimately like, they're going to shit all over this. They ate it up, and Tony can back this up. I did not think this Firefly Funhouse thing was going to succeed at all. I thought...
The second it debuted, you were like, this was done. Put the nail in the coffin. This will never get over.
Yes, I didn't think, why are they burying Bray? This guy can turn chicken shit into chicken salad. Why don't you just give him chicken? Turns out he made it chicken. Not bad. The only bad things you could say about Bray Wyatt matches are the finishes you don't agree with, or the finish you don't agree with.
There you have it. Moving down the line. More on that later.
Since I think it's aged enough and it's just appropriate, since Le Champion
Le Champion, of course.
is prone to a little bit of bubbly, and I at least got a little bit of bubbly glass.
Indeed.
Let's give this a little drink.
Not bad. It has a Scotch taste right out the gate, and it finishes like a Scotch.
I could see how you could.
I like it.
This would be easy to blend with. Like
Yes.
if you
Oh,
were to
yes.
start with this and blend from here.
Absolutely.
I'll
I'll rate that later.
It's not overbearing.
No,
but,
we'll rate that later.
But just to say, the first taste,
Not bad at all.
I've had way worse scotches. Okay. That I spent a lot more on. So
Le Champion.
Le Champion.
Chris
Jericho.
The inaugural AEW World Heavyweight Champion. He's only been defeated one time under the AEW banner, and he quickly squashed that.
Yes. It's hard to not put him in contention.
You have to put him
because
in the top,
he's.
yes. You have to.
His promo work, his time in the ring is way better than, like, in terms of just being able to do the old school shit.
Yes.
As a certain...
he's not just a ring general for AEW. He is an entire promotion general.
Yeah, he's kind of like taking Tony Khan by the hand, him and Cody, and like, okay, this is how we'll actually do this.
Exactly.
So, and Le Champion.
Le Champion.
I mean, what can he, much like your King of Extreme, does enjoy a little bit of bubbly. So, it's tough to not put him in the contention.
And last but not least, of course, the
master,
show stealer of Double or Nothing.
Yes, the master of reinvention himself, Jon Moxley. He is in our contention for Wrestler of the Year. His showing up at Double or Nothing, to be frank, that's what put AEW on the map. If they didn't have that big surprise at the end of the show of somebody to show that they had got one big defection, there's a good chance this whole thing might have been for naught.
Indeed.
So
we've got one.
And also he had a broom handle moment with Joey Janela. Let's be frank.
Well, okay, so before we start diving into
No. And he had a great match with Kenny Omega. But beyond that, it is fair to say he hasn't done much else.
All right.
So
we've got 6 contenders for Male Wrestler of the Year. Fine, let's start. Let's start with AJ Styles. Unfortunately, I have to disqualify AJ based on the fact that he has not done much as far as singles titles go. Like, yes, he's been U.S. champion on and off. He's had a program here and there, but he has not held a world or universal title this year. That hurts it for me. Yes, he's probably, out of all 6, on a consistent basis, had the most title-worthy 5-star-ish matches out of everybody, but his booking has not been top shelf like it was last year.
Yeah.
At least for me.
All right. One that I'm going to eliminate off the list says we're getting rid of Styles. AJ, I do apologize, sir. You have entertained the shit out of me this year. I have loved almost everything I have seen from you. It hurts me.
Yes.
But we have to be honest. But AJ, you will always be in the hearts of the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast. Okay?
You're not done being talked about.
Oh, no, sir. So, one that I'm going to chop from the list, as much as I hate to do it, to be honest, that Judas elbow is not getting over with me, okay? It's just not. I can't give you Wrestler of the Year if I can't even get behind your finish, okay?
There it is.
It's not getting over with me. If he were to just end the matches that he ended with this back elbow with his same Boston Crab, now I get it. He doesn't want to wrench his lower back into his, into the twilight of his career. I get it, but...
Phil says to me, while we were discussing nominations for Male Wrestler of the Year, is that Jericho absolutely has to be in the conversation. Not many people can reinvent themselves that many times and be that successful over this many decades of wrestling. Jericho has reinvented himself more than most people ever could imagine.
Yeah, I might have given Jon Moxley the term master reinvention a little prematurely, considering Jericho's on the list.
Exactly. But I'm like, there's some hang up with me. He's like, is it the Judas elbow? My God, it is. It's the fucking Judas elbow.
We were talking about this an hour ago, and I'm like, is it the Judas elbow? He's like, you're right, it is. Like, yeah, I can't.
I can't get behind it. I don't buy it as a finisher because anybody can do it. You're telling me that Chris Jericho has the best spinning back elbow in the history of professional wrestling?
Fuck John Jones.
Yeah, no.
It's Chris Jericho.
Yep. No, combat sports be damned. Chris Jericho at 90 years old for a pro wrestler.
Like not even 50, dude.
For a pro wrestler.
Well, okay.
Has the greatest spinning back elbow of all time.
For a pro wrestler, like if we're aging people in pro wrestling, everybody's at least a million years old from all the bumps they've taken.
If next year at this time Chris Jericho is still AEW champion, we will talk.
If he's still champion this time next year, it's gonna be really, really hard not to make him. But
I will go ahead and I will eliminate the next man for you, so you don't have to do it. Sorry, Jon Moxley, but. As great as you ended your run in WWE with the Shield, doing the thing, one more time. There you go. You guys had a great match. You, Roman, and Seth versus McIntyre, Corbin, and Lashley at Fastlane. You come to AEW debut like a ball out of fucking hell. You had a big death match with Jelly Nutella. And then you had let's just call it what it was. Phil enjoyed it a lot more than I did, I think. The Backyard Wrestlers Wet Dream death match at AEW All Out.
That's what it was!
And not even Dave Meltzer could score it that high, so I'm sorry you haven't done much. You're getting into a title picture with Jericho now towards the end of the year, but Jon Moxley, you had a good year. This is your best year in years, but I can't name you Wrestler of the Year.
You're not going to like this one, T. I'm afraid, sir, despite your best efforts, Tyler Black, you were unable to burn it down. Seth Rollins, your Universal title runs, you somehow managed not to get anybody over. But in your Universal title run, you got everybody you worked with under. Because you as a face, I'm sorry. It's like Ric Flair as a face. It's good in small doses.
There you have it.
You're meant to be a heel. I'm glad you're a heel again. Let your heel wings spread and let your heelness fly.
May I? May I? Seth Rollins, you beat Brock Lesnar twice this year for the Universal title, and you still could not fully get over with the crowd. You just before TLC delivered your first true heel promo in 2.5, almost 3 years when I finally came back fully to WWE, and it felt so natural, so comfortable, and it's the best damn promo you've had in years. You came out and you blamed the fans, and that's what we've been wanting and waiting and yearning for ever since you came back from the injury. Because that last heel run, kind of a heel run, not really. This is the start of your heel run. I'm looking forward to what you will do in 2020. Not in 2019, as good of a banner year as it was. Sorry, Seth. That leaves us with 2 contenders for Male of the Year.
Cody Rhodes and The Fiend. This one's tough. This is very really tough. So...
This is
I know who I picked, but I'm gonna let you go first.
I feel like I know who I've picked as well.
Do you want to?
I'm gonna make the case for both quickly, and then I will make my selection. The Fiend, like I said before, the repackage, re-debut. They took their time. They got there, and then when he finally got in the ring, it was incredible. It was more than we could have ever hoped for, and somehow, even during the worst possible booking, he gets himself over time and time again during this. Jon Moxley and Chris Jericho be damned. Bray Wyatt may be the king of the repackage. Like he's right up there.
Yeah, I mean, you do make a great point there. I mean, I began this year thinking, boy, they should probably just think about releasing Wyatt. They've just buried him so bad. Let him go somewhere else and get himself over the way he can, if you just let him. I didn't think this Fiend thing was... I didn't think the Firefly Funhouse thing was going to get over at all. I thought the Fiend thing was going to be pretty cool, but they weren't... WWE wasn't going to invest in it.
Right.
And the fans just kind of forced the hand there.
Thank you, fans.
Cody. He's given in the contention for match of the year. That can't be ignored. Okay? He's single-handedly took on the McMahon establishment dynasty and has at least survived, which is more than most can say.
Yep.
Okay? Now, he's young into it. And he's got a money mark with a lot of money to burn. Will that place be able to sustain itself if Mr. Khan turns the spigot off?
Cody Rhodes has been the one solid consistent since AEW launched at Double or Nothing and launched on TNT on a weekly basis with Dynamite. There's not a more over wrestler on their roster, Jericho included, than Cody Rhodes. He comes out, the crowd eats it up, regardless whether he's playing a face or a heel, and AEW says, oh, those things don't matter, but they do, and Cody kills it every time. The reaction he gets from the crowd is perfect every time he comes out for what he is trying to promote that week. And yes, Cody Rhodes has had some of the best matches of the year.
Singles matches and tag matches.
Singles matches, tag matches, his match with Dustin, his tag match with Dustin versus the Bucks, his match with Darby Allin, with Chris Jericho. He's delivered every time he's gone out there.
So, Tony, I think we both know who we got. On 3, we're both going to say who the runner-up is.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Cody. All right. Agreed.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Cody.
I'm sorry!
I'll be honest, Cody. There was about a 24-hour window there ago where you were my pick. But...
The Fiend! And you can't, yes, he delivers in the ring, but you can't just put only the ring. It's not just the wrist locks. As much as, an old school guy like...
As old school, technically gifted as Cody is, for obvious reasons, Bray Wyatt's psychology on the screen, on the ramp, in the ring, post-match, everything is so crisp and so freaking perfect. His
mask work is better than Kane's. And I never thought I'd ever say that. And Kane, this guy can back it up. In 1997, 1998, Kane was, in my opinion, the greatest wrestler in the fucking universe. It did not matter.
Glenn Jacobs, under the Kane mask in 1997, doing the Michael Myers mannerisms, was one of the most incredible things we've ever seen. Somehow Bray Wyatt, in 6-ish short months, has found mask emoting and taken it to an entirely different level. And not just that, because now we can confirm that once again Bray Wyatt without the mask, as Mr. Rogers Bray Wyatt, can come out and deliver a match, pre-match, during match, post-match, just as compelling.
But different. Completely different. Like, he's a completely different character, but it's so compelling.
The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Half a year in the ring, but a full year of just busting his ass, selling himself once again to us all. You are the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast Wrestler of the Year.
Congratulations, sir.
You've earned it.
Toast to you, sir.
Indeed. We shall move on to the next. We did spend a lot of time on that. So this is going to be very long-winded, folks. Bear with us.
You're going to get the brilliance, and we're saving the match of the year for the main event. So
let's move on to...
I am one for teasing.
Are we doing women or tag team next?
Let's do the female wrestlers of the year.
This will be a lot quicker. I'm going to preface this with...
I think we both know who that's
As good as 2018 was for the Revolution, the Evolution in 2019, not as good because nobody really truly reached that upper pedestal.
Tony, because you got to remember, the Triple H stable Evolution's theme song told us, evolution is a mystery. So, hey.
So, I want to preface all this again, though, with looking back now at 2018, I almost wish I had taken his advice and gone with Rhonda as Wrestler of the Year for the female.
She was in 2018. It was hand down.
I picked Becky Lynch because I thought she had a stronger finish to the year.
So
who are the contenders this year?
Very WWE heavy. One NXT and one AEW. So
let's just go
let's
right
be frank,
through.
AEW's got a lot of work to do. WWE has a very rich and robust female roster.
It's not even close.
Yes. So we're starting off with woo! Charlotte Flair. How can she not be on the contention every year she's an active wrestler?
Yeah, she became a 10-time champion.
Yes, I mean, Charlotte, just between you and me, champion to 10-time champion. So long as you're an active wrestler, kind of count on being on this list. Sorry. It's just
she main evented WrestleMania.
Yes, I mean,
there
Jesus. She main evented fucking WrestleMania. Okay, she's one of the first women, one of 3 women to ever fucking do that. Hats off to you. My God.
Who's next?
So, one of the other people that happened to be in that very match, the man, Becky, 1 belt. So close. She was in the main event of WrestleMania. She became Becky 2 belts. We got to see Becky 2 belts fucking live while she had her 2 belts. Yes, don't worry, Podcast Nation. You can touch me. You can.
Yeah.
Moving along.
Becky had another great year.
Yes, but we'll get to her here in a bit. Moving along, we've got NXT's own Shayna Baszler.
What can you really say about Shayna? But she's been champion for what feels like the entire decade, and she had a really, really solid showing in the NXT versus Raw versus SmackDown Survivor Series build-up, and she even came away with the W.
Yeah, kind of hard to not.
Kind
of hard to not.
Over Bayley, over Becky. She had a great finish to the year, already being champion. Very great year for Shayna.
Moving on, we've got Bayley, SmackDown Women's Champion. It's hard to not put her in because she's the only woman to win Raw Women's Champion, SmackDown Women's Champion, NXT Women's Champion, WWE Tag Team Champions.
And Money in the Bank.
She did, and she's done most of that within this calendar year.
Most of it, yes.
Yeah, she's done a good, healthy chunk of everything I just listed off. So she's snuck in.
Not just that. I include her on this list because she took the axe to the Bayley buddies and reinvented herself as a heel. That's why she makes the list.
And then last but not least, the AEW Women's Champion, Riho. She's had some matches where she really shocked me.
She did. I'll be honest, though, her match with Britt Baker on Dynamite, they shoehorned that in. They should have waited. It did not live up to expectations. But her match with Emi Sakura on All Out, I thought that was hands down her best match of the year. She defeated Nyla Rose on Dynamite's debut to win the title. The first ever AEW Women's Champion. You have to have her in the conversation here.
Yes. So, would you like to take the first axe, or should I, sir?
I'll take Bayley out.
Ouch.
I have to. I'm sorry.
So soon.
She was an afterthought a bit in the Triple Threat at Survivor Series. She does finish the year as the champion of SmackDown, but no.
I was at least going to let her stick around for
okay, go ahead.
Pick or two. Ouch, man! But no, she's gone. You got her.
All right, go ahead. Take somebody out.
Riho has been hit or miss every time I see her in the ring.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Because
She's
she's
either putting on a 4-star classic or a 1-star. What the fuck am I watching?
Yeah, and that match with Nyla Rose where she won the title, I didn't like it.
I just didn't believe it. It just was not believable.
No, it wasn't believable that she won it for starters, and then second of all, I didn't like the match itself. There was a bunch of spots there I just didn't buy into. So I'm sorry, but she's out.
Yeah. So we have gotten rid of Riho. We've gotten rid of Bayley. God damn, yo.
So Charlotte, Becky,
and Baszler. So you are really not gonna like me here, T.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
The Woman of the Year, really, as much as she's had a banner year, it's just not Charlotte. I'm sorry. Charlotte, it just ain't you.
Yeah. No,
You've had a great year. You were in WrestleMania, but that wasn't your match and it wasn't your time.
No,
you did the right thing because you knew you needed to build a dance partner. And you've been there for every big angle, but it's just... After WrestleMania, it just seemed like creative didn't quite know what the hell they even wanted to do with you.
There you go.
So unfortunately, like, she did great in the ring, but her creative languished, and that has to be something that you consider. And it is unfortunate that something outside of your control prevented it, because, as I said, Charlotte, you will be on this list every year.
Yeah, and her involvement in the WrestleMania main event was great. Actually, I think it probably made the match better, but people didn't want that. They wanted a one-on-one Becky Rhonda. They shoehorned Charlotte in to make it different. But she's had nothing but good matches at the same time. But banner year was not 2019 for Charlotte.
Yes.
So we've got Shayna Baszler and Becky Lynch.
And let's be frank here, Baszler, she's had a great year.
Very great year.
She didn't main event and win fucking WrestleMania. Sorry, it's Becky. Was there any dispute? No. Becky was the winner of the first ever women's fucking main event. I'm sorry. That's a big fucking deal.
She won Royal Rumble. She won the main event of WrestleMania. She's had great pay-per-view matches and main events at pay-per-views since then. It's just,
So...
she is absolutely Female Wrestler of the Year.
Congratulations, Becky.
Yeah, can't argue with that at all.
So this
is
the first year. So far. It is undisputed, Becky. Last year that we were in disagreement. This year you are the undisputed Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast Woman of the Year.
And even more impressive.
And that is pretty impressive considering she is the man.
And not just that, the fact that she's overcome stale booking
with Seth Rollins. So,
but yeah, she did get booked into fucking oblivion.
Congratulations, Becky. You did manage to get your boyfriend over with enough hard work.
Let's do the tag teams. This won't take nearly. Well, actually,
send some tapes in. Maybe you can get them booked.
Holy shit! All right, tag team of the year.
Okay, we have 6 nominees here. We have the Young Bucks. Kind of hard to not put them in a contention. They've gotten a lot of attention with the rise of AEW, gotten a lot of exposure. They brought it in the ring. Hard to not put them in any list. The next on our list, it's a new day. Yes, it is. Oh, yeah.
At one point, they had tag titles and a world title, and they were one of the best 3-man tag teams in wrestling history. Let's be honest.
You gotta respect that.
Have to.
So, moving right along, we have the Revival. We were watching them at TLC, and everything they did was just so perfect, where they were able to take our expectations within the bounds of wrestling and just tweak it just a little bit to the point where you weren't ever going to see what they're going to bring.
Their timing and their psychology is just some of the best.
And then moving right along, we have SoCal Uncensored SCU. I am impressed like a motherfucker with what they've put out this year.
Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky and, of course, Christopher Daniels, one of my all-time personal favorites on the indie scene, TNA, blah, blah, blah.
Hell, ECW.
It's a great three-man stable, but, of course, Kazarian and Scorpio won the inaugural AEW World Tag Team titles, so they do get included here.
Yep. And then, moving on to a tag team that really entertained the hell out of me. Shocking. Like, I came in a little skeptical as thinking, oh boy, another Lucha Libre tag team. We haven't seen these stateside before. Lucha. Lucha Bros really separated themselves from the rest of the market of Lucha Libre here in the United States.
Yep.
They're able to do the moves of Lucha Libre, but they can tell a very good story. It's just too bad that there's times they get caught up in the Cirque du Soleil aspect of it. So
I won't get too in depth with them
yet. And
okay.
then we've got the Viking Raiders.
Yep, that's my inclusion. I know you're not in agreement.
No, in my opinion, a small boy and his dinosaur have a better chance of making tag team of the year than the Viking War Raider Experience.
Well, then
Machine
fine. Let's just wipe.
Thrill Ride.
Fine. Let's just wipe them off the list.
Yeah,
right
I mean
now,
they were good. Let's mention the good.
All right.
They were undefeated, but a promoter booking you against jobbers does not a great tag team make.
The fact that their only loss this year was to Gallows and Anderson, the supposed best tag team in the world from the Crown Jewel, blah, blah, blah. They have not lost, and every time they've got in the ring, whether it's a jobber or an established team, they look good doing it. And even you're like, wow. Every time you see them, you're like, damn, they do shit you just don't expect them to do.
Ivar did impress me. Yes, he's great, but I'm sorry. It's not because they're bad.
NXT, Raw, IWGP, Ring of Honor, Tag Team Champions.
I am not saying they're a bad team. I am saying that the competition this year for Tag Team of the Year is so stiff. The tag teams are so good that it's just, I'm sorry. They're probably not going to, in fact, my first pick to knock off is, I'm sorry, the War Viking Raider Machine Experience Thrill Ride. I'm sorry, Vince McMahon saddled you with a shit name. Yeah. You would have gotten way more over if you could have just brought your indie gimmick here. Your masks were cooler, your equipment was cooler, your look, your aesthetic, everything was cooler.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And it's even more funny that the one team that's beat him this year was Gallows and Anderson, the best tag team in the world, and they're not even on our fucking list.
Well, they don't even need to be. They're the best tag team in the world. They've got a giant trophy. We don't have a giant trophy. I mean, Carl Anderson raises a great point there.
Damn.
So,
I will mention, though, that they're a fucking amazing tag team. Just piss poor booking for them. That's the only reason they didn't make the list.
The only good they've been allowed to do this year is on the mic.
There you have it.
Hey, that's like.
All right, so no Gallows Anderson, no OC, and no Viking War Machine Raider Express.
So who is from the Bucks, New Day, Revival, SCU, and Lucha Bros? Who's
SCU's got to go. I'm sorry. Love me some Kazarian. Love me some Daniels. Love me some Scorpio. First AEW Tag Champs, but that's all they've done. That's it. And they've had some really great matches leading up to that.
With a small boy, and his dinosaur.
Shut up.
That was a great six-man tag.
So yeah, but that's all they did. They won the titles, and that's it. Now they're going to do that for a while. They otherwise, storyline-wise, it's been okay. Yeah, Matches, great.
Chris Daniels has been great on the mic. He's been awesome in the ring.
Yep.
I
got it. Yeah, I can't do it. I got to take him out.
Okay.
This is
gonna. So what we have left is Bucks, New Day, Revival, and Lucha Bros.
Okay.
You're really gonna fucking hate me.
Okay.
Uzi hot. stupid shit they got saddled with, despite the fact they became Raw and SmackDown tag champs in the same year, I gotta cut the Revival.
I'm not cutting the Revival yet.
Oh.
I'm not. You go ahead. I'm not. I'll cut the New Day. And you know what?
No problem
and
with
that says a lot considering they just finished at TLC as the SmackDown Tag Team Champions with Kofi, World Champion. That stable had a lot of freaking gold at one time.
I'll give you New Day. They've had a great year, but as I've said, it's not because the Revival or the New Day are bad teams. I have been tremendously entertained by everything you guys have had to do. And Revival, you even tried to turn some real chicken shit to chicken salad. I'll give you that. So that leaves us with 2 teams.
Okay, well, for you maybe. I'm cutting the Lucha Bros.
That's fine.
I'm cutting the Lucha Bros because they did, at Double or Nothing, have one of the greatest tag team matches of the year, but then they had to revert to Cirque du Soleil on Ice, ladder match, lucha libre, cooperative dance, square dancing, to have a supposed almost 5-star match. They are a great tag team. They're probably better individually, in my opinion, but they had a good year. I do not have them in my tag team of the year.
So that leaves us with 2 teams that have any I can't quite give it to the Revival, but so you haven't eliminated Revival, but I'll agree with everything else you've said.
Okay.
And that leaves one team that, even despite the fact that they've just never quite gotten over with you, and I've had my reservations about them, neither of us can say we need to cut them from the list. And I believe, tell me if I'm wrong here, T, the tag team of the year is beyond a shadow of a doubt Cody and Dustin. No, the Young Bucks. Yeah. Sorry, folks.
Wow.
I gotta get a rise out of them once in a while. No. The tag team of the year, in my opinion, is the workhorses in the ring, despite the fact that everybody seems to have a misgiving with them. That's good. They're controversial. And that's what you need in wrestling. I believe the 2019 tag team of the year is the Young Bucks. Tell me how I'm wrong.
So, honestly, this was a very difficult one for me. I had Young Bucks and Revival as my top 2 tag teams of the year. First, the Young Bucks, because obvious reasons. Every AEW pay-per-view that they have had a top-tier match in, it's been phenomenal. It's been show-stealing, spot-wise. But then there's that all-out match where it was just spot after spot after cooperative spot.
Didn't Dave Meltzer give that over 5 stars?
Yeah, he gave it some asinine.
Like 5.6 stars or some horse shit.
Like 5 1/4. It was.
I think we gave it like maybe 4, just because it was good wrestling. We were saying Canadian Destroyer off the top of the ladder through a table. You got to give it credit.
That he got up from.
Yeah, shouldn't have got up. Should have been an injury angle. He should still be in the neck brace. Like, oh my God, will Jackson ever come back? Like, you could have got so much more out of that.
But for me, the Young Bucks, that's all they've done is have matches. They haven't done shit as far as promos go, because they're still trying to do the goofy, funny, bullshit comedy crap. And when they do try to get serious, I just don't buy into it. I don't know. I don't get it. It's not my cup of tea. They're hands down one of the best tag teams of the decade. They've established that on the indie scene, and now full circle in AEW. And then the Revival, they have been just absolutely sidelined time and time again with piss poor booking. But for me, it comes down to the fact that even though they own their own promotion. You can even call it, oh, well, they're just so much willing to give somebody else a chance. The Young Bucks haven't really had any gold other than those AAA tag team titles. And this year, the Revival have held both the Raw and SmackDown tag team titles and gone to NXT and had an almost 5-star tag team match with the Undisputed Era. My pick for tag team of 2019 is the Revival.
Oh, shit! We have a disagreement. We will have to let the fans and some of the other cast members decide this one.
One more shot to defend the Bucks.
Anything that you can say that the Revival brought in the ring, the Bucks brought that and more.
I disagree. Because
how many 4.5-star matches can you remember off the top of your head that the Revival had this year?
Right now, we just watched...
Well, goddamn it, no! Okay, maybe TLC.
We just watched them kill it at TLC.
TLC was pretty fucking awesome. Goddamn, that was awesome. That was a great...
Their match with the Undisputed...
Yes, on the top of your head, that was a
The match with Undisputed Era at NXT and the lead into Survivor Series was fucking fantastic. They had amazing matches just on the shows, not the pay-per-views, but like Raw, SmackDown, with the Usos and the New Day. They have done nothing but, even when their storylines suck ass, they go out and absolutely kill it in the ring. They do the job. They go over when they need to, and they do it unapologetically, and they absolutely have, hands down, not even remotely disputable, the best tag team psychology. Why? Because they respect the rules of tag team wrestling, whereas the Bucks don't give a fuck who the legal man is, what the count is. It could be 1 second, it could be 40 seconds, it could be 20 minutes. They don't give a flying fuck. Sell a Canadian destroyer off a ladder through a table? Fuck that, I'm gonna get up and super kick you. The Revival respect selling. The Revival respect tag team wrestling mechanics and in-ring psychology. That's why it's without a shadow of a doubt, for me, bad booking be damned, the Revival have overcome all that and are your tag team of the year 2019.
Folks, we have a disagreement here. Now, Tony, I'm going to give it to you. You cut one hell of a promo for the Revival. I mean, goddamn, they need to hire you as their fucking mouthpiece.
Well, if Jim Cornette's not available for the Midnight Revival, I'm more than willing.
All right. Tony, you almost convinced me there. Like that, I was that close, but I'm going to stick with the Bucks for now.
Oh, believe you me, I was close.
I'm going to allow the other cast members of the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, and more importantly, you, the fans, let us know in the comments.
Trust me, I was right there with you. Like, what team has been
God, you made a really good case for that, man. But I'm sticking with the Bucks for now.
I was right there with you, but the fact that they don't truly respect tag team wrestling does it in for me. The Revival respect tag team wrestling more than anybody ever possibly could, besides Jim Cornette.
We'll come back to this one if we need to find a compromise somewhere.
Fair enough. Let's move on to the matches, folks.
Oh my God. We've got... Let's start off with the tag match of the year. Then we'll go to the female match of the year, the shit of the year, and then we'll end with the male match of the year.
Okay, go ahead.
Tag match of the year. Cody and Dustin versus the Bucks. Fight for the Fallen.
Okay.
That was a damn fine match.
It was. You had, obviously, the heat coming off of the Cody and Dustin match, transitioning into that, them teaming up, going against the Bucks. Obviously, one of the best tag teams of the year.
The Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers. Double or nothing.
That was pretty much...
God, that was incredible.
Had it not been for Cody Dustin, that was probably match of the night. Hands down, right?
Yes,
There you go.
The Bucks versus the Lucha Bros. ladder match at All Out.
We're only mentioning that because of the high rating it got from the IWC Internet Wrestling Community.
But, you know,
they
Tony,
fucking melted.
just looking at the first half for us, those Bucks, they don't deserve to be the tag team of the year. We got Becky and Charlotte versus the Kabuki Warriors at TLC. That was fucking good.
Entry.
Late entry. There's one more late entry on here, but not just because that was fresh in our mind. That was just, in my opinion, the best female tag match of the year.
Oh, man. And that's saying something considering the success that was the female tag team elimination chamber match to crown the first ever tag team champions of the women's division. Which was a fantastic
But the Kabuki
match.
Warriors versus one half of the Four Horsemen, it was amazing.
Exactly.
The Shield versus Corbin, Lashley, and McIntyre. That was actually a really fun match.
One of the real true final run of the Shield.
The Undisputed Era versus the Revival probably has nothing to do with the fact that his preferred tag team of the year didn't have any matches on the list here, and the Bucks are just dominating the list. So, you know what? How about you let me...
Go ahead.
No. Let me trim off the Young Bucks matches.
Okay.
And you trim off the WWE and NXT matches, and I will let you go first.
All right.
The three are Becky, Charlotte versus the Kabuki Warriors at TLC, Shield versus Corbin, Lashley, McIntyre, Undisputed Era versus the Revival.
I'll shave off the Shield match because while it was a really good match, it was one of the most fun matches of the year on the pay-per-view slate. It was one of their final runs as a three-man team, but it was at Fastlane, and that event was just rough in a lot of spots. That was like one of the lone high spots, and it was kind of hard not to deliver a home run with that one. So everybody was excited for that regardless. It was a great match, don't get me wrong, but I can't put it as the match of the year for the tag teams.
I'm just going to get this out of the way right away with the Young Bucks. The Bucks versus Lucha Bros, their ladder match at All Out. It was a good match. It was a great match. It was two synchronized swimming Cirque du Soleil. They were obviously helping each other to show an athletic performance rather than they're simulating anything close to combat.
This is what I'm doing. I'm helping Phil through this review. This is the match.
Yeah.
And then I'll do a 450.
Yes. Yeah. I'll push Tony towards the thing.
Yeah.
Okay, lay on this table. Yeah, that was the match.
Yeah. In 2020, we're going to do it on ice.
Dave Meltzer, let's just be, I'm going to be honest. Because the Young Bucks made a move called the Meltzer Driver, and he writes the dirt sheets for pro wrestling, he marks out too much for them.
Yeah. And
he gives them way too high praise. Him and Kenny Omega, he's... Now, granted, good for him that after all these years, he can still mark out. Now, granted, there's times where he just seems a little jaded by the whole industry, but all that being said, sorry, Dave, that was not a 5.5 star match, and the match that you gave like a 7.2 star match, I watched it, that's like a 4.2 match, okay? So, all that being said, Tony, we've got Becky, Charlotte, Kabuki Warriors, Undisputed Era Revival. Which one are you getting rid of?
I'm going to shave off the ladies here, and I will tell you why.
We still give you tag team ladies.
Oh, God. It was even over the Elimination Chamber match. I shave it off because the first quarter was amazing. Second quarter, also amazing. There was the third quarter of the match I thought really kind of hit a dead spot. I don't know what it was. Just... some stuff started getting a little sluggish. You guys just didn't quite sync up perfectly. It kind of took me out of it a little bit. The last quarter, you went right back to it. You hit it. Loved it. Amazing match. But there was just that little portion of it that took me out of it. And because it was a late entry. So, I will take that off.
Okay. So, I'm left with... the Bucks versus the Bros at Double or Nothing, and the Bucks versus Cody and Dustin.
Yep.
As much as I'm a fan of Cody and Dustin, the best and most accurate criticism for that match is it was basically 3 matches. They could have ended it twice, and they should have, and it would have been just as good of a match. Probably better, actually. Might have, if they would have just had 2 matches.
I said, why don't we do this as a 2 out of 3 falls match? And that probably maybe would have put this as tag team match of the year. It would have made more sense.
So, now granted, the lead up to that, the emotional lead up was top notch, just bar none. But the match, while incredible,
it went too long.
Yeah, it's just barely underneath the threshold for tag match of the year, but goddamn close.
It was great. It was great. It went a little too long.
Tony, this leaves us with 2 matches.
All right.
The Revival and Undisputed Era versus the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers at Double or Nothing.
All right. Allow me. The Lucha Bros and the Young Bucks at Double or Nothing was the match that kind of set the standard for what tag team wrestling in AEW was going to be, for better or worse. Keep that in mind. They absolutely went out there with the entire intention of stealing the show, and they absolutely did do their best in doing that. They stuck true to tag wrestling as much as those 2 teams possibly could, which isn't a lot, let's be frank.
There was tags in that match.
A couple, sure.
Yeah.
Countouts or whatever.
Countouts be damned.
Entertainment value-wise, they made that crowd love every fucking second of it. They paid for what they got, and they enjoyed the absolute hell out of it. The Revival versus the Undisputed Era. That match was on a fucking NXT show. Not a pay-per-view. Not a takeover. But a weekly show on the lead-in to Survivor Series. And I cannot stress to you enough how much I enjoyed that. And how perfect that match was to the psychology and true definition of not just old school tag team wrestling, but tag team wrestling in general. They killed it as far as real, true to form tag team wrestling goes. You take that match, you put it on a main stage, it's going to get an incredibly high star match rating, and it's going to be a memorable classic. So with that said, the fact that it was not on a large scale, I am going to have to go with the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros at Double or Nothing as Tag Team Match of the Year. Are you in a disagreement?
No, sir. The Young Bucks, congratulations, gentlemen. There might be some disagreement as to whether you're the Tag Team of the Year, but there is no dispute that you put on the standard that every tag team has to meet and beat from here on out to really get to that next level. So,
and the Revival's ladder match with the New Day at TLC was so fucking good.
I know.
It was better. It was better than the Lucha Bros Young Bucks match at All Out.
You did.
It was hands down better.
You did.
Fight me.
You didn't add it only because you'd already put in one late pick. TLC always does kind of suffer from that. You don't want to put too much in because it's so fresh in your mind.
Exactly. So, Young Bucks, Lucha Bros tag team match of the year.
Welcome to all of you, gentlemen.
Ladies.
Female match of the year. Obviously, Rhonda, Becky, Charlotte, WrestleMania 35. The main event.
It was.
You gotta kind of mention that no matter what.
Regardless of anybody's thoughts on this, of Charlotte getting shoehorned into that, you know, a lot of people were pissing on that right out of the gate, but my reaction was, you know, this is actually going to make it a little bit better. Regardless of what you wanted to see, one-on-one, main event, Becky, Rhonda.
They needed the experience of Charlotte in there.
But yeah, at any dead spots and any flaws in Rhonda or Becky's armor, Charlotte was going to be able to compensate for, and she did. And they absolutely made that match much, much better because of the inclusion and being a triple threat. Please, yes, thank you. You just can't go wrong with a good Scotch, folks.
Yeah, this stuff's pretty good. I don't know what we're going to rate this.
It's difficult. It is a single malt that makes it obviously a little bit different than a blended, but
yeah.
Go ahead.
So, then we have Io Shirai versus Candice LeRae at NXT TakeOver.
That was a very, very, very good match, and damn, like, it's hard to go against one of those women's takeover matches that just kind of steals the show and kind of cements its stamp on the year, and that one absolutely did. It's not with two big names, and that's what makes it like when was it Bayley and Sasha did it, in a takeover a few years ago. It's one of those matches that sticks in your mind.
Then moving on, we've got Natalya versus Lacey Evans at Crown Jewel. Let's be frank, that's going to be the only match anybody talks about 20 years from now about that event. So
this was not a match that broke the rules and had high spot after high spot.
Well, it did where it was broadcast.
It wasn't a technical masterpiece. It wasn't one of those ring classics where both women were the general of the match and just put on a 5-star classic. This was a match that was a landmark achievement, not just for wrestling, but for
women's rights.
Just world rights. Let's be frank.
Yes,
this was a big fucking deal, and regardless of how we rate this match, this deserves
it deserves a mention.
It.
This is going to be something that goes in the history books.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Then moving on, we've got Asuka versus Charlotte for March 26th SmackDown.
This was the lead-in to the Mania where Charlotte won the title from Asuka, kind of shockingly out of nowhere, the last-minute booking, so we could get both titles in the triple threat main event of WrestleMania. Kind of sucked for Asuka, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't a great match, because we know how good Charlotte and Asuka are in the ring together.
Oh, yeah. Asuka, I feel for you. Boy, we've had to say that about you a lot. It's like, man, it so sucks that had to happen to Asuka.
Yeah.
But moving on, we have Asuka versus Becky at the Royal Rumble.
That was a great one, and we kind of knew going in that Becky was going to come up short because we expected Becky to be a late entrant to the Rumble and win it, which honestly probably took both of our high ratings of the Women's Rumble match down a few pegs that year because we knew what was coming, and it happened. And I don't know if it's on the list or not, but obviously kind of hard not to mention it again, but Charlotte Becky versus the Kabuki Warriors at TLC, Women's Match of the Year.
Yeah. I mean, it was Women's Tag Match of the Year anyways.
Yeah.
Then we have the Women's Tag Elimination Chamber match.
Mention that, of course.
Yes, you've I was thoroughly entertained.
Oh, it was great.
Sasha turned on Bayley for the 15th time.
And then the 16th, and then, yeah.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
And all the teams involved were very deserving. There wasn't a lot of botches in that. I think, like, the only thing that I remember sticking out just a touch was when the Riot Squad and Mandy and Sonya, there was a spot. That's the only thing I remember sticking out was bad about it. But then, obviously, Bayley and Sasha became the first ever tag team champions of the women's division. And let's be frank, the right team won. And it was a great match.
Then the last that we have on the list is Sasha versus Rhonda at the Royal Rumble. So
kind of got overshadowed by Becky pulling double duty on that one. But that was a really good match. Had really good build. And they delivered. Sasha kind of knew she was going the wayside soon. And she really brought her A game that night.
So, T, I'm going to let you make the first elimination.
Unfortunately, it's the last one I just mentioned. Sasha and Rhonda, I take that out. It was good. But was it as memorable as some of the others? No. Go ahead.
I'm going to have to take out Asuka versus Charlotte on the March 26th SmackDown.
It was a SmackDown.
It was a match that was just there to set the pieces in the right place to get the main event of WrestleMania that we want.
They used it as a stepping stone, which is unfortunate.
So I'll let you make the next elimination, sir. We got the women's tag elimination.
I'm going to take that one out because so many women were involved.
Yep.
Like, it's hard not... Like, you look at, like, Survivor Series matches. Like, even this year's women's Survivor Series match with 3 teams. That one was a really good match. They told a really good story. Match-wise, it started hot, got really fucking cold, finished okay. But with multiple women and multiple teams, there's so many ins and outs and so many different things going on that it kind of takes you out a little bit, you know, from a one-on-one or a triple threat. So that one I'm going to take out. Like, even though it was a big stipulation, big time cage match, I got to take that one out.
So what we got left is Rhonda versus Becky versus Charlotte, Io Shirai, Candice LeRae, Natalya versus Lacey Evans, Crown Jewel, Asuka versus Becky at the Rumble.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and knock off Asuka and Becky at the Rumble.
Okay.
It was big, but it's not as big as some of
the other Becky
stuff. It was a good match,
but what I remember the most from it was going, well, this is the blow-off from the TLC match in December of 2018, where Asuka won the title. Becky gets a chance to redeem herself, win it back, since she never got pinned or submitted. And we all kind of expected her to come up short, and it didn't quite live up to the hype. It was a great match. Wasn't as great as I wanted it to be.
All right, so there's 3 left, T.
I would take off the TakeOver match, and people are going to fucking hate us for that.
So that leaves us with 2 matches. Ronda versus...
It's a takeover. I'm sorry, I just...
You got Ronda versus Becky versus Charlotte, WrestleMania main event 35. You've got Natalya versus Lacey Evans, Crown Jewel.
And of course the TLC,
Becky,
Becky, Charlotte, Becky Warriors.
Let me go ahead and knock that one off.
Ah, really?
And we're down to...
But we rated that one so freaking high.
Yes.
And it was so good.
But Tony, as I've said many times, it's not just about what goes on in the ring.
Okay, and we're not even going to mention the triple threat of Survivor Series between Bayley, Becky, and Shana.
Great match.
We have to mention
the triple threat at Mania was better. Meant more.
Okay.
More eyes,
there we
more
go.
attention.
Let's preface that. Because the triple threat at Survivor Series did close the show. Becky, Bayley, Shana. And it was a fucking great match. But for some damn reason, it did not resonate with me as much. And I love the build-up to that event.
Tony, there is a very good argument to be made for either match between these two. The 3-way at WrestleMania and Lacey Evans versus Natalya at Crown Jewel. It really boils down to those two. One has a much bigger historical significance worldwide. One has a much bigger significance to the world of wrestling. So,
and unfortunately, we both know which way we've got to go. It's the triple threat. It's the triple threat at WrestleMania 35.
I know. Yep.
It is. It
Wash us with your judgment history. We don't care.
It is.
We acknowledge that the Natalya versus Lacey Evans Crown Jewel match was history making. And I suspect we'll be talking about that one over the years.
When you go back and you look at just our review of the match, we are incredibly kind to it because it was so historical. But not just that, but also because if you watch that match without knowing anything of the history between the two women involved and their feud beforehand, that's why they worked so well together. Forget all that, all their feud before that match. You watch that match. You watch those two women. They put on an absolutely great technical wrestling match with all the handcuffs that came with the situation that they were plunked into. And the fact that Natalya and Lacey Evans were able to go to Saudi Arabia and have the first pay-per-view televised women's one-on-one women's match. That is something you absolutely cannot ignore. It's a historical event. Congratulations to both of them. But as far as in the ring, match of the year definitely has to go to Rhonda, Becky, Charlotte, WrestleMania 35.
No dispute. That is match of the year. Ladies, congratulations. I mean, yes, Natalya, Lacey, congratulations to you. You broke some glass ceilings that you ladies got to deal with in other areas of the world. I'll just be kind.
Absolutely.
Becky, Charlotte, Rhonda, you broke ceilings nobody thought would ever be broken here in the West, and that's
there you go.
That's a different cookie to crack altogether.
And I do want to add before we move on, there was a couple of small spots in their triple threat match where I went, I don't know,
Not perfect, yeah.
Not perfect, but damn it, you look again at Charlotte Flair. She's always going to be in the conversation. Becky Lynch was my pick for last year, and she's our pick this year. And Ronda Rousey, his pick last year, and was just absolutely phenomenal, and will be again in 2020 because we know you're coming back. It has to be the main event for WrestleMania 35.
Congratulations, ladies. Congratulations to all the ladies in both those matches.
Indeed.
Now, moving on to something a little bit more frivolity before we move on to the men's.
Let's just set the tone right now.
The
Fuck, shit, damn, awful, bullshit, fucking wrestle shit crap of the year.
So, the nominees are for the worst things that happened in pro wrestling this year.
And this is an exclusive list. Because
only 4.
Let me get this straight. There are only 4 on this list. That's how bad these 4 are. Because WWE has bestowed upon us in 2019 some really, really bad, piss, poor, god, awful, fucking terrible booking. And there are only 4 on this list, Phil. Is that what you're telling me?
That is only 4. These are the 4 worst things that happened in wrestling this year.
And
we're going to tell you which one is the worst. We're going to start off with the Double or Nothing Opening Battle Royal. Where a
Nope. You just list them and then let's shit on them.
Okay.
Because I got a lot of shitting to do.
The Hell in a Cell main event. Lucha Bros versus Private Party. I got up and walked out like 3 minutes into this, so you're going to have to tell me what happened after that. Because I have better things to do at the time.
Fair enough.
Nia Tamina versus Bayley Sasha Fastlane. God, we sat through that whole thing, didn't we? All right. I'm gonna let you trim the first. Which one deserves to not be the worst of the year? Why?
Okay, simple enough. What does not deserve to be shit of the year?
In your opinion, you go ahead.
Okay, first thing I can shave off that list: Lucha Bros, Private Party. While I hated it, I fucking hated it. You walked off from it. This was on Dynamite. This was during the tag team tournament, which included a first-round bye match, which is one of the dumbest fucking concepts I've ever heard in my life.
Wouldn't that just be the first round of the tournament?
It would be, Phil. But let's make it convoluted for convoluted's sake, so we can add another tag team back into the tournament when we have other tag teams we can just put in it.
With the gambling theme, is it Tony Khan, Cody, Kenny Omega? Who's got the gambling addiction that runs that company? I'm just curious. But,
don't care. That match sucked because, god damn it, Phil, you and I know better than most. Have you seen backyard wrestling matches on a trampoline?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen better backyard wrestling matches on a trampoline than Private Party versus the Lucha Bros that looked much less cooperative than that piece of shit was. And the crowd loved it, and the internet wrestling community loved it. That match sucked ass. That match was a fucking travesty as far as tag team wrestling goes. You should both reevaluate what you are doing as far as tag team wrestling goes.
But so are you knocking that off the list, though, despite
it
that?
Sucked ass. I'm knocking it off the list.
What I'm knocking off the list here, in my opinion, yes, it was bad. Yes, it was horrible. Yes, it was stupid. But the Double or Nothing Battle Royal, it got MJF over in his first few seconds. He was the star of that. There is a man with no legs in this Battle Royal. We're supposed to believe that a man with no legs is a professional fighter that has a chance at becoming World Heavyweight Champion. And MJF immediately runs over and starts just stomping a mud hole in the legless guy. I mean, it's just, come on. I mean, A+. So,
beautiful heel work from MJF.
So MJF saved what had the potential to be the worst fucking thing in wrestling this year. So credit to you, sir.
Damn it, though. Oh, my God. AEW. Let's just have a little heart-to-heart here. Actually, forget that. Forget AEW in general. Fanboys. AEW fanboys.
Yes.
No. You. Me. AEW fanboys. Right here, right now. That was a fucking shit move. That was stupid. Nothing was dumber than putting the first televised, regardless of pay-per-view, network TV, whatever, the first thing under the AEW banner that any wrestling fan ever tuned in to see was the Double or Nothing Battle Royal. And it was utter bullshit, garbage, indie, mud show, outlaw crap to the extreme. We didn't just have a legless guy. We also had Orange Cassidy kicking Tommy Dreamer. We might as well just had Joey Ryan come in and dick flip everybody over the top fucking rope. That match sucked. We were way too kind.
I thought we were gonna get he's one of the he who shall not be named on this podcast.
It is. You're right.
I don't even want to give that dumb fuck any press.
Editing room, just beep that all out. But no, that match sucked. It was terrible. You should be ashamed that was the first ever AEW match.
So that leaves two things left as the worst of the year. If it's all right with you, I'm just going to go ahead and chop off Nia Tamina versus Bayley Sasha because, it sucked. But it didn't suck as much as the goddamn mother...
Wait. We need to shit on that first. Nia Tamina, Bayley Sasha... We both rated that a half a star. Why? Go ahead. Because the chemistry between the four of you was so fucking terrible. The botches were so fucking severe. The storytelling was so lackluster. The fact that Bayley and Sasha won the tag team titles. This landmark achievement. And then Nia Tamina... And this big tag team meeting was so fucking bad. Like, every other spot was a botch. Nothing looked fluid. Nothing looked good. Nothing synced up correctly. There's a reason you haven't seen any of these fucking women in a program together again.
I'm sure it was because of Bayley Sasha, right?
It was so fucking bad.
Yeah. So,
like, anybody who wants to go back and watch shit, watch that match. But yes, of course, it cannot even be completely ignored. The clear front runner and winner
is the goddamn motherfucking piece of shit. Jesus, God, what the fuck were you thinking? Main event of Hell in a Cell. It was so easy. Why the fuck was that? Son of a fucking Jesus Christ. Okay.
I was in so much fucking physical pain watching the debacle that was WWE Hell in a Cell 2019 main event. The Fiend versus Seth Rollins for the Universal title. Holy shit. Oh my God. Why fucking why? Why do they do this to us? Why? Don't get me wrong, they corrected their mistake at Crown Jewel and they put the belt on the Fiend. That does not fucking excuse the fact that, listen to me, look me in the eye if you are watching this on video right now, or listen to my voice, open your ear, hear me, see me. 2 years in a row, the main event at WWE Hell in a Cell has gotten our Wrestle Shit of the Year award. 2 years in a row, you have ended a Hell in a Cell match in a no contest disqualification. A match that saw Mick Foley fly off of the cell, fly through the cell, fall onto thumbtacks. Watch Triple H and Cactus Jack go through the cell, off the cell, fire, barbed wire. Brock Lesnar, Undertaker meet not once but twice inside of it. Undertaker, Triple H with Shawn Michaels as guest referee. One of the greatest matches of all fucking time. And 2 years in a row, in a no contest, disqualification, embarrassment, bullshit, god-awful, disgraceful booking travesty. You fucking fools. If you didn't want to pull the trigger on The Fiend at Hell in a Cell, what the fuck is wrong with you? I hate you so much. I'm glad you fixed it at Crown Jewel. That does not excuse anything you did in this match. It was fucking awful. The fucking referee called the goddamn match. God damn it, no! Ah!
I'll toast to that, sir.
Oh!
I think we both need to...
Please, by all means, go back and watch our fucking review of that match and see my anger.
Oh, we were happy. We were real happy, weren't we?
Oh.
So...
That was...
well...
You know what? Anything.
Give The Fiend credit, though, here, Tony.
That's why Bray Wyatt is our Wrestler of the Year, because he overcame this.
He somehow won Wrestler of the Year and Wrestle Shit of the Year.
There you have it.
I don't know if that'll ever happen again.
I don't think it possibly could.
I think The Fiend is the only person to pull that shit off.
Nobody reinvents themselves better than Bray Wyatt.
No
there it is.
Shit.
Nope. Jericho, Moxley, nope. Undertaker, nope. Bray fucking
Bray.
Wyatt.
So
Bray
now
Wyatt.
We move on to the main event, folks.
Wow.
The male wrestler... Or the male match. Of the year, not wrestler. We already agreed
it's clearly Seth Rollins' Fiend to Hell in a Cell.
Oh, God. So, the male matches of the year.
Let's get into a fight.
Cole versus Gargano.
That was
NXT
great.
TakeOver.
All right, let's just fucking... No, you know what? No, we're not even going to fucking argue about it. That one's off the list. Why? It's a fucking NXT TakeOver. As goddamn technically sound as those two guys are, and they are fucking amazing. It's not match of the year.
Yep, both the takeovers are gone. All right, so we have the men's elimination chamber match. Great match. Men's Survivor Series match.
Hang on. Men's elimination chamber match. What is the one thing you remember about the men's elimination chamber match out of everything else? Forget the participants. Forget everything else. What do you remember most about the men's elimination chamber match in 2019?
They changed it.
No, goddammit. The fact that 3/4 through the way of this match, you didn't know how badly you wanted to see Kofi Kingston win the fucking title that night. Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston closed that match out better than anybody could have ever possibly imagined. Kofi and Daniel Bryan's emotion closing out that match was fucking beautiful. Tell me I'm wrong.
Oh, it was gorgeous. That was some great storytelling. And yeah, I didn't know how much I wanted to see Kofi as champion on that one. It was like, what did they change? Well, they changed the chamber, right? Like, no, it's something else. But, so, you're right. That was, and that's what started the whole Kofi saga.
Exactly.
The men's Survivor Series match.
And then, of course, Kofi and Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania was a fucking 4-ish more star match. But,
yes, men's Survivor Series match. God,
we enjoyed that probably more than the internet wrestling community.
Oh, yeah. But the Survivor Series match is always a good match.
It has been for the last
couple of years
several years, and they do it so well. But this one, I think, especially, out of like the last 3-4 years, I think this one was the best, personally.
All right. AJ versus Ricochet, SummerSlam.
God.
That was a good one.
You can't look at two guys Ricochet coming from Lucha Underground, going up through NXT, AJ debuting at Survivors or Royal Rumble, and just skipping over so many plateaus of where you would expect AJ to hit when he debuted with WWE. He springboarded across that and went right into the title picture. And kudos to him. And then these two guys put on a series of matches that were just fucking great. This one especially.
Yes. Moving on to Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins at SummerSlam.
This topped their WrestleMania match, did it not?
Well, yeah.
But that opened WrestleMania. This one
closed.
Oh my God. We sat there and went, we've seen this match. We have seen this match. And we still sat there with bated breath on the edge of our seat going, holy shit, this is even better than the last meeting. It was
an incredible match. I had a great time with it. So, yeah, SummerSlam was one hell of a
was
card.
a great. Like it or not, WWE has put on a handful of fucking shows.
SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and Extreme Rules were all fucking great shows.
Yes.
So, moving on. AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins, Money in the Bank.
This one's further back on the calendar, so people might not be as crystal clear, fresh in their mind why this one was so good.
Damn, that was a good match, though. I gave it 4.5 stars. I still remember how fucking good that one was. Like, just the counters were crisp and smooth, but they all looked like they were just about to barely maybe fuck them up, but then they just did, so it just kept you on the edge. It was so good.
And my thinking going into that one was they just moved AJ onto Raw. Like, oh gosh, they finally put AJ on Raw. They can eventually do that Rollins-Styles match, and then they immediately got into that program. And I went, oh, well, we're not wasting any time here. We're going to put them into a big-time match, and they did, and they killed it.
Neither did they.
And they fucking killed it.
And then the last nominee for Match of the Year. Cody versus Dustin Rhodes. Double or nothing.
Brother?
I'm Paul. You must be Tommy.
Brothers don't shake hands. Brothers gotta hug.
This match was an emotional roller coaster. The entire crowd was with everything they did there. The audience was with everything they were doing. The lead up, everything that happened in the match, the psychology. I'm going to get back to that one a little later. So, Tony, we got the men's elimination, men's Survivor Series, AJ versus Ricochet, Lesnar versus Rollins, Styles versus Rollins, Cody versus Dusty. AJ and Rollins both make 2 appearances at least.
A lot of
and
familiar
then
names.
including the, elimination.
A lot of familiar names there.
So,
Go ahead.
Go
ahead.
Not going to be a popular elimination.
Go ahead.
But there's one thing that you of all people should understand: not respecting the rules of wrestling and cheating on them.
Okay.
Braun Strowman getting counted out in the men's Survivor Series
Which
match.
He's been very accustomed to.
Yes,
That
supposedly. Yes, it crushed an otherwise perfect match.
Why do we fucking continue to bury Braun Strowman? No, I agree. Yeah, you
gotta
wipe that off the list.
I loved that match. I fucking loved that match. Okay, but when they count out Braun Strowman to get out, it just ruined what was going to be the perfect match.
And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wipe off the TakeOver match. And I want to mention Walter and Tyler Bate.
I didn't even mention it because it was a takeover.
That's a different story for another time. We're going to just flat out sit down and review that in real time.
Sorry,
that one deserves our attention.
In 2020, NXT is going to be in a bit better running, but yeah, let's be frank. As far as the WWE universe is concerned, you really hit the map at Survivor Series. So
there you go.
Let's see how.
That's fair. That's fair. So those matches are off.
So I got rid of the Survivor. So we're left with the men's elimination chamber.
Okay, let's talk that one. Man.
Other than the last 10 minutes, what was special about it?
The match itself.
It was a great match.
The match itself.
Nobody remembers
great.
anything but the last.
No,
10
there
minutes.
you go. That's exactly what I was going to get to. Was the fact that the only thing anybody remembers from it is the fact that Daniel Bryan barely overcame Kofi Kingston in the end to retain his title in the Elimination Chamber match. And let's not forget that the only reason that Kofi was in the match to begin with because Mustafa Ali got injured.
That's gotta be painful for Mustafa.
Oh, nothing has got to be more painful than that. Oh, it's got to hurt. So, while it was an amazing match, and it did absolutely give us one of the best storylines going into WrestleMania, and that feel-good moment of Kofi winning the WWE World title at WrestleMania, I've got to take the Elimination Chamber match off the list. What does that leave us with, sir?
Styles versus Rollins, Money in the Bank. Lesnar versus Rollins, SummerSlam. AJ Styles versus Ricochet at SummerSlam. Cody versus Dustin.
Go ahead. Take one off.
God, this is tough.
It is. It's really tough. It's so tough.
AJ Ricochet.
Oh, man.
That was a great match. It was a great match, but wasn't even the best AJ Styles match on this list.
See, that's the problem. And like I've said, AJ Styles, not even truly in our contention for Male Wrestler of the Year, but has done nothing but deliver us instant classics on a monthly basis, and this one is no exception. AJ Ricochet, great match, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there was some smodgery at the end of that, which probably hurt it.
Yes, there was.
There you have it. That hurts.
So that leaves us with 3 matches. Cody versus Dustin. Styles versus Rollins. Lesnar versus Rollins SummerSlam.
Go ahead.
Well, I just knocked one off. It's your
Go
turn.
ahead and knock one off. I thought I did.
Well, we already know which one's getting knocked off here.
All right.
It's Lesnar versus Rollins at
It
SummerSlam.
is.
It was a great fucking match. It really was. But
This brought the Lesnar-Rollins saga to a close, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And it did it in such good fashion. I out of all of their meetings, I think I enjoyed this one the absolute most.
yeah,
And that absolutely includes the cash-in at 31.
yeah, that.
Wash me in your hate.
So that leaves us with 2 matches for
man.
Match of the Year. The phenomenal AJ Styles versus the Architect Seth Rollins and the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes versus Dustin the Natural Rhodes.
This is so fucking
All right,
close.
Tony. On 3, we're gonna say what our pick is. 1, 2, 3. Cody
AJ
Dustin.
Seth.
Fuck.
Yeah. Sorry. No.
Fuck. Okay.
I will battle this till the end.
Well, Tony, what I'm gonna counter with you here is
Okay.
AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins was a marvelous bit of sports entertainment. But the best wrestling match of the year, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is Cody Dustin. I ranked it 5 stars. In my opinion, in 2019,
I went 4.
it is the perfect match.
I said it was a 4-star match.
Well, you're off by 1. Everybody's allowed to be wrong. So, AJ versus Rollins, I ranked as a 4.5-star match. Really good.
And I think
If
I
would-
rated it as a 4.25 match.
If I would have actually broken my quarter hole rankings back then, I probably would have made it a 4 3/4 match. But 4.5 stars is what I rated it. Cody Dustin, 5 stars. I mean, I'm sorry. What did you rate Cody Dustin? Do you remember?
I said 4.
4 stars? Yes, that's right. You were off by 1.
So, okay, before we banter into this too intensely, make the case against AJ versus Rollins, and I'll make the case against.
Well, I already kind
Cody
of
Dustin.
did. What you're describing is a great match of sports entertainment. But are you denying that Vince McMahon's sports entertainment is different from wrestling proper?
Of course it's different, but that doesn't mean it's worse.
No, I'm not saying it's worse, but
You
I'm
kind of
also
are saying that.
Yeah, it is. Wrestling
Exactly.
is way
You
better.
absolutely
More
are
people
saying
throughout
that.
history liked wrestling than sports entertainment. More people watched it. More people bought tickets to it. More people enjoyed it. There's way more people that say, oh, I used to like wrestling, more than there's people like, oh, I used to like sports entertainment. Like, no, it's...
Well, that's hard to say when you have the likes of Goldberg and Sting and The Rock and Austin and Mr. McMahon and The Undertaker at his height. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. So shocking that people would remember that more fondly than the current slate of the products. Yeah,
well,
I'm
do
so
you deny
shocked.
that it's been going on a downward spiral ever since we've started this whole sports entertainment?
It's been on a downward spiral since Vince McMahon bought his competition in 2001. It's just now starting to see a resurgence.
It's been on a downward spiral much longer than that even, but Cody and Dustin was showing the American public something they hadn't seen in decades. Real wrestling. And in my opinion, not only that, but the psychology, and I know like a good judicious use of blading to increase the psychology of the match. AJ Styles and Seth Rollins put on a mechanically marvelous match. They did. Cody and Dustin showed us what psychology can be.
So your argument is that Cody and Dustin put on a better wrestling match versus a sports entertainment match. That's your argument.
And they had better psychology.
Oh, okay. So the match that included only AJ Styles and Seth Rollins that went back and forth, had crystal clear, perfect timing, perfect psychology, actual real good false finishes, and had a clear, decisive victor, was a better sports entertainment match than a match that included Brandy Rhodes getting almost as much offense in as Cody, with Diamond Dallas Page coming out and doing the whole, I'm going to take Brandy out of this match and carry her off. Nobody knows who the heel is. Nobody knows who the face is. Oh, holy shit, Dustin's bleeding buckets, so we have to add 3 stars to this match just because that match. That's a better match because it had better quote-unquote psychology.
Nobody knows who the heel and who the face is in a brother versus brother match. Oh, no. Those are never emotionally complicated. No. Yeah, of course.
It was brother versus brotherish and wife. But yeah, it was basically a handicap match. But yeah, that's fine if you won't want to.
Brandy was ejected by the great Diamond Dallas Page. It was awesome.
There were so many stupid side storylines in that match that it took me out of that, rating it higher. Let's be frank. Had we just taken Cody and Dustin and put them on a show without Brandy and without fucking Diamond Dallas Page doing this, and you take out the blood, and you just have them do a match on fucking Dynamite, it's the same goddamn thing, and it's barely a 3-star match.
Does he still break the throne before?
Yep, that probably hurt it for me a lot, too. What was one of the biggest fucking things you remember from that match? Oh, Cody taking a shitty sledgehammer to a fucking gimmick chair on the ramp. But yes. Seth and AJ. Seth and AJ was too much sports entertainment.
The thing I
but
remember
Cody
the most,
Rhodes breaking a throne on the entrance. That's pro wrestling. That's not sports entertainment at all.
No, the thing I remember the most from the Cody Dustin match was the classic Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hart, imagery while he was in the figure 4 leg lock.
Oh,
with
so
the
it had
Pro
to
Wrestling
steal.
Crimson Mask.
So it had to steal from that sports entertainment entertainment venue.
Oh, well, you got to remember, that's back when Vince occasionally had a little bit of wrestling on there. You know, Brett was actually still a real wrestler.
Yeah. Oh,
and Steve Austin, too.
Before he went to the Georgia Championship Wrestling.
Where they do wrestling. Thank you!
Before he went there to do non-wrestling.
To not wrestle.
Non-wrestling, yeah.
He went to the wrestling
You're kind of
place
making
to
my
wrestle.
case for me at this point.
No, we're talking about Bret Hart now. He went to the wrestling place, not wrestling.
Yeah,
he went
to the wrestling place to be a referee.
To not wrestle.
And retired because a rookie kicked him in the head.
So anyways, back to the matches at hand.
Seth Rollins.
Tell me why Seth Rollins AJ is the superior match of the year, sir.
Because not only was AJ Styles obviously our unanimous wrestler of 2018, and this was coming off of the heels of that, his best run on a major promotion, not named TNA, not named New Japan, and certainly not named Ring of Honor or AEW. AJ Styles was at his pinnacle, coming off of a lengthy world title run going into this, versus Seth Rollins coming off of the WrestleMania defeat of Brock Lesnar. Both guys were coming off of big angles going into this match on what was one of their better shows of the year, Money in the Bank, like it or not.
It was a good show.
AJ Styles did not need the help of his OC brethren. Seth Rollins did not need the help of what was left of the Shield at this point. There was no outside interference. There was no schmozzery. This was two of the hands-down best wrestlers of the year, maybe even the decade, if you will, going out and putting on an absolute fucking clinic. Call it wrestling, call it sports entertainment, call it whatever you want. But the fact of the matter is, they went out and put on a crystal clear perfection of a contest for everybody who watched that. And not only did I go away expecting an absolute classic, I enjoyed it more than I even thought I would. And the fact that you do not want to admit that it was such a fucking masterpiece.
I said it's 4.5 stars.
Which it was.
4.5 stars. It was.
And neither one of them had to bleed to get to that point.
Shut your whore mouth. You know blood is a great commodity in this business.
Blood?
And can make a match better if done right.
No blood, and he still rated it 4.5. And the only reason Cody Dustin got above 3 was because Cody Rhodes busted Dustin open for a fucking gallon of it. And still needed DDP and Brandy to help him get to that
Stone Cold at WrestleMania.
It
wasn't as good without the Crimson Mask, and you know it. And so, yes, the Crimson Mask does help if done right, and nobody knows how to do it quite like this.
And Ken Shamrock in some of the tightest tight shorts of all time. Hello, nurse.
Yeah, he did have some really tight, and just the tightest shirt you could get.
Oh, God.
Steve, do you give up? God, he was an underrated referee. But anyways, back to 2019. God damn it! Quit going back.
AJ Styles, 2018 Wrestler of the Year versus one of the runner-up nominees of 2019, Seth Rollins, who's, yes, his piss-poor booking of a face finally coming around towards the end of the year as a heel. Again, thank you. They put on a reverse fucking Falcon Arrow and oh my God.
Tony,
oh my God.
I never thought I would
Yeah, because Cody and Dustin had the fucking foresight to do a reverse top rope Falcon Arrow. No, you know what they did? They had Brandy Spear.
They did a superplex.
Oh yeah, but they had Brandy Spear Dustin on the outside, and he sold it like he got shot with a shotgun.
No comment. But there's a lot of fun jokes I could make there. But
I'm not going to sit here and tell you I hated that match because I fucking loved Cody versus Dustin because, yes, the emotion was there. But do you know why you are rating it as high as you are?
Let's hear it.
You are rating it as high as you are, not just because of the buckets of blood that Dustin dumped out, but also because of the post-match promo that Cody dumped on everybody in attendance, whether they realized it or not, that was a mirror image of Dusty.
What? Are you saying Cody and Dustin might have ripped off something from Dusty back in the... I don't know what to say to you, sir.
He absolutely did.
What?
He did it perfectly.
No.
But it was.
I don't know what to say to you. That was not at all Dusty Rhodes' angle from the summer of 1986. You're full of shit.
Even had the year at the ready there, didn't you? Meanwhile, Seth and AJ didn't have to steal shit. They just went out there and put on a fucking clinic. Rest my case. Match of the year.
So, folks, looks like we got ourselves a bit of a disagreement. I mean, the disagreement is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how wrong is Tony?
Not at all. Would be the correct answer.
Oh, but you see, the problem is, Tony, you didn't give Dusty and Cody match of the year. Dustin Cody match of the year. So
it's runner-up. Don't get me wrong. It's second best match of the year.
I mean, other than all the great, secret matches Phil K.O.E. had, you mean. So that,
Not this year.
But the CIA had to take all the tapes of that because, they just need it as training tapes for their high-level assassins. So I'm afraid you'll never see Phil K.O.E.'s match footage. So, but all that being said, yes, the after-match promo was quite good for that match, wasn't it? And yes, it did help add to the emotion. That shouldn't overshadow the match itself, but it did.
But
it has to be part of it.
And the blood did overshadow the match, and the involvement of Brandy and DDP overshadowed the match itself.
That last one I don't really agree with. Brandy did just right. DDP was a good appearance.
What else do you remember from the match besides DDP and Brandy and all the blood? And the aftermatch.
The figure 4 leg lock, they really got a lot of emotion just out of a fucking figure 4. Cody actually took a really good swanton bomb off the apron when Dusty got a good run and he did the swanton. Yeah, there's a lot of shit from the match I remember. It was a great fucking match. But I'm sorry, man. It had more emotion. We were more emotionally invested.
Off of 1 week of build-up.
Off of 30 years of build-up. Family rivalries.
Yeah, okay, and then they did a tag team match. Oh, yeah, big rivalry.
Well, and yes, I will admit, as somebody who is both a younger and older brother, that promo at the end, yes, got me right in my feels.
All right,
right here in the feels.
Let's just have it out here right now. The fact that he's rating that one higher and I'm rating this one higher is because he's a fan of classic Georgia championship wrestling. And I'm a dirty New York Mark through and through.
Yeah, I knew you. Like, he's been watching WWE since he was 5. He didn't even, Tony lived out in the country growing up, and he didn't get Turner syndication.
Nope.
I lived in town and I got Turner syndication, and actually my grandparents had Turner syndication before even we had it here in town. So one of my first matches I ever saw live was Ric Flair. The first thing I ever saw of pro wrestling was the I'm From Hollywood documentary about Andy Kaufman. Yep. And when I saw Jerry Lawler hit the pile driver twice, I was hooked. I was done.
I'm just going to throw it out here and everybody's going to hate me after this, but it doesn't matter. Was it Starrcade 88, Dusty, Flair? Was that 88?
I think it's 88 or 89.
88 or 89. We had a video store here in our little tiny small Midwestern town. I would go to that video store. I would rent all the WrestleManias that they had on the shelf. We're talking Slaughter, Hogan, Warrior, Hogan, Macho Man Hogan, because obviously it's Hogan heavy. But then, for some reason, I went in there one day and there was not a WrestleMania available to me to rent. So I grabbed the next thing I could, and it was Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair. 88 or 89, Starrcade. Took that home, popped it in, and I had no fucking clue what I was watching. It was so vastly different than the product I was accustomed to. And they were both bleeding, buckets all over the place, and my mom went, "Oh my God, what are you watching?" And that kind of ended my
Southern
foray into Georgia Championship Wrestling, NWA, for many years to come. And I was much more accustomed to the New York style.
I think one thing, and I do need to, full disclosure, my grandfather at one point told me that he had 3 great uncles who actually wrestled in the circus back when pro wrestling, if you don't know, used to be a carnival sideshow attraction.
Yep.
And he had 3 great uncles actually wrestle. And before even the Secrets of Pro Wrestling Revealed video came out, I was well aware that wrestlers actually cut themselves to, bleed so it looked like you'd get more money if you bled. And so he knew about the old phrase, red turns to green. And so I knew about this and so like when I would watch the WCW and I'd watch the old Georgia Championship and the old Southern style wrestling, and my grandpa would be there, he was already pretty used to seeing guys cut themselves. It was something that was already in his family and he'd seen it before. So it wasn't shocking to him, and so it was something that was allowed for me to see. And so that's why I grew up with that Southern wrestling base way more than Tony did. Tony, you grew up with Vince McMahon. I'm going to be the Disney of wrestling.
Yeah, I did enjoy a lot of clowns and Indians and morticians and...
Yeah. You grew up in the era of the Moonlight Wrestler.
Yeah, it was goofy.
I'm a wrestler, but I also moonlight as a repo man or a car mechanic or a dentist.
I'm a NASCAR driver.
So,
my name's Bob Sparkplug Holly.
I think we kind of got a little bit into why we have such a deep disagreement here. Because Cody and Dustin match represents the resurgence of a kind of wrestling that's been long dead.
It was a fantastic standard wrestling match from years gone by. And AJ.
Yeah, it would have been a great standard Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat match. You're right.
Sure.
You're right.
And AJ
but,
Rollins.
What classics do those guys ever?
Yeah, and AJ Rollins probably just made the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros pop wood 8 fucking times throughout the match. But yeah, who am I to fucking complain? Yeah, because they're like, oh my God, the psychology and the fluidity and the. Oh my God, look, they don't even look like they're trying to help each other do this next spot. God, I wish we could be like that.
So, folks, we've got another disagreement here, and I don't think we're going to budge.
Nope, not this year.
He just about got me to budge on the Revival, but this one I ain't budging. I am not. I know Cody Dustin was the best match of this year. It is, in my opinion, 2019, the perfect match.
Yeah, it only took Goldust 20 years.
Hey, he had some... Tony, trust me. Do you think I ever fucking thought I'd be telling you match of the year is Goldust versus Stardust? Fuck no. But here we are. Never say never in the world of fucking wrestling because they will turn you on its head.
I'm sure you did. Because everybody who just went, oh my God, they're not under the WWE banner. Now I can rate them 17 stars.
Now, you see, the difference is I at least stayed underneath 5 stars. You can't call me Meltzer.
Close.
I'm giving this match a 28.74 star. Like, oh my God, dude. So, well, folks, we're going to need some help here. Comment section. We're going to have to turn to some other cast members, maybe, to get some tiebreakers here.
Indeed.
But, as you pointed out a second ago, all that being said, folks, this has been 2019 Year in Review. Congratulations to our Wrestler of the Year, The Fiend. Congratulations to our Female Wrestler of the Year, Becky Lynch. Congratulations to our Tag Team of the Year,
The Revival.
The Young Bucks. Congratulations to our match of the year, Cody and Dustin.
Rollins AJ.
Congratulations to our shit of the year,
The Hell in a Cell debacle.
Oh, one other.
Again.
Oh, congratulations.
Again.
All y'all. Oh, God. Nope, that's all of our the female match of the year. Congratulations to the main event of Wrestlemania.
Indeed.
My God, ladies. And also, honorable mention, Natalya, Lacey, good job, girls.
Yes, sir.
This has been quite the year in wrestling. We've seen amazing matches. We've seen the rise of The Fiend, the fall of Seth Rollins, Cody and Dustin putting on the great... Cody and Dustin
Rollins falling after match of the year.
I know.
Oh, it's crazy.
Only to find out that Cody and Dustin had
Came
a better
up
match.
short.
Had a better match. Only to find
Just
out.
that much short.
Imagine how disappointed they were.
If only AJ would have done another forearm, he would have like, oh, it would have been crystal clear. I'm sorry that anybody even questions.
If only AJ or Seth would have bladed, maybe they would.
Oh yeah, then it would have been 7 stars in Phil's book.
14.
Yeah, see? Georgia.
Hey, red turns to green. Hey. So, folks, we got a couple of disagreements here between Tag Team of the Year and Male Match of the Year. Tag Team Match of the Year, we both agreed. But, folks, let us know in the comments section just how right I am and how wrong he is.
And vice versa, because it's
now, granted, how much can he possibly know? I mean, it's not like he's the champion or anything.
That's fine. I'll be 5-time champion in January.
Clearly have better predicting and analytical abilities than Tony G, considering my championship rank.
A guy who's had a 6-day title reign. Yep, that guy. Yep.
Each one more legendary than the last.
Yep.
So, folks.
2 title reigns didn't even last a week, but yep, that's fine.
Well, let's try and end this on an agreement note, Tony.
Okay.
The Scotch. We're coming back to this Scotch. We've been sipping on it for a few hours now.
Yes.
I'm shockingly enjoying this. I've had some single malt scotches that are nasty.
Yep.
And this, now it's Cardew.
Yep.
They know what they're doing. It's Johnny Walker, but unblended.
Yes.
So this is their base blend. Good stuff. What would you rate it?
On a Scotch level, I'm actually going to go 3 1/4. And I say that because this is a single malt. It's one flavor. That's what you get from the smell, from the taste, from the finish. Absolutely 100% a single malt. You definitely don't get a blend. It's very clear cut. This is a definitive single malt.
So for Scotch, you give it a
3 1/4.
And for brown spirits in general?
3 1/2.
Okay. You must really like Scotch.
I do love me some Scotch, and this is a good one. And if this is one and I definitely do get that hint of Johnny Walker, if you will, blended out the ass. But yes, you definitely get that. I like it.
Yep. Now, like I said, if you're
into
Johnny Walker Red Label or you're into Johnny Walker Blue Label, there's a little bit of this in there. So it's just something interesting. In terms of Scotch, I give it 3.5. It's a good Scotch. I would actually recommend a bottle of it. I mean, look how much we've knocked back tonight.
Indeed.
It's a fine Scotch. In terms of brown spirits, I'm giving it 3 stars. It's a fine Scotch, but a Canadian whiskey it is not.
Here we go.
Now, better get ready there, man. We're gonna be getting into bourbon here soon, and that's a whole new world. So, but we got a couple more Scotches to go yet, and don't tell Germs, but I got a small little gift bottle of Johnny Walker Blue Label that we're gonna be. I'm gonna surprise him with at the next taste test.
We definitely do have a lot of taste tests.
Keep your eye out for that, folks. We will be giving you an idea of what this stuff tastes like when it's properly blended. So, all that being said, as I am prone to say, I am signing off and handing it off to my indomitable broadcast partner. I am the current reigning, defending, Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion, your King of Extreme, Phil K.O.E. Tony, anything else you'd like to say to the folks in the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast and KOE Nation before we possibly close out the decade?
Like, share, subscribe. This will hopefully be available on YouTube, on Spotify, on all the audio-only platforms. I'm going to try to expand our reach to try to get this to everybody we possibly can, because our opinion matters more than most.
Than anyone's.
I am, of course, your soon-to-be 5-time champion, the always controversial, the non-Kappa friendly, Tony fucking G. Thank you so much for joining us in 2019, and we look forward to entertaining you in 2020.
Later, folks.